Hello everyone, welcome to Awkward Author. My name is Alyssa Grasso, and this is my weekly vlog and podcast about my sometimes awkward, always awesome author life. I am going to warn you, apologize in advance, I don't know. Outside today, there is some construction stuff going on. Hopefully I can get through recording this without too many disruptions or disturbances, and nothing gets picked up here on the microphone, but there have been a few excessively loud noises, so hopefully that doesn't interrupt us. I may just have to stop recording for a bit. It doesn't seem to be a constant thing, but it is a little noisy here today. And then another, apology for you. It is a new month. I do not yet have an author income report for you. I will have that for you next week. I just haven't had a chance to, go through all the numbers and get everything, organized and make sense of it yet. And I don't really have an especially good excuse for why I haven't done it. I guess I finally started working on my taxes, which I do my own taxes. I'm self-employed. It's pretty much a nightmare. And I hate it, and I put it off for as long as I possibly can because I do not enjoy doing them. And right now there are papers and printouts and just all kinds of stuff because all over spread out in these piles, and I don't even know what's going on anymore. That's how it is, I guess. I guess ordinary people pay someone else to do their taxes, but even that would be a nightmare because I still would have to organize everything and make sense of it, and it's just easier. I know what's going on, sort of, I think. I don't know. But I have a vague idea of what's going on, and so, anyway, I'm not going to rant about how ridiculously complicated it is to do taxes in this country, but I'll just say that it is. Anyway, so that has been taking up a little bit of my time this week. Okay, so we just had one of those loud boom noises. I will edit that out of this video. And I think there might be a few aftershocks there. I think what it is they're doing some construction, and there's fill getting delivered, so that it's dump truck loads of dirt that are presently arriving. Anyway, so I've been busy working on taxes, and like I said, I did that first round of, I wouldn't even call them edits, just a few little things I had to go back and fix in my book that I just completed. What I realized when I went back and did that, just filled in some things that were fill this in later type things, and changed some names so that not everybody's name started with the letter S and that sort of thing. And when I was going back and doing that, I realized that I had intended to write another chapter for basically a final chapter for the one character, because there's kind of 3 different storylines going on. And I never did that. I guess I had in my head that I'd already done that, but when I went and looked at it, it wasn't done. So I yesterday actually wrote that chapter, and also ended up writing an epilogue chapter for that character because I felt like that was needed to kind of wrap things up. So I did a little more writing on the book that was done. But it wasn't done. It isn't done. It won't be done for a long time, actually, because it is just a first draft. And at this point, what I will be doing is putting it aside and just letting it kind of sit for a while before I get back into my first round of edits on it. And those will be just really, I'll just read it on the screen and make edits that way. And then once I go through and do all those edits, what I usually do is print out the pages. I know, I'm killing trees. I think it's recycled paper. I print out the pages and I'll recycle it when I'm done. So I print out the pages, put those into a binder, and basically just go through and read it like I was reading a book, with a red pen in hand, and make a lot of revisions that way. For me, this just helps me a lot to catch things that I might not catch otherwise. It gets me away from the computer, and it's changes my focus on things, I guess, or something. I don't know. It's a little bit different experience for me, I think, reading on, a printed out page as opposed to reading on a computer screen. So it does for whatever reason, it works for me. So if you are struggling, if you're struggling with catching mistakes in your own writing, or just need a different perspective on things, that is something I've found that does work. Anyway, after I do that and make those corrections, probably go through it just like one more quick time, then I'm gonna send that off to I don't know who I'm gonna figure out who I have editing it. I'll send it off to a freelance editor, and then probably we'll send it to, I have an advanced team. If you want to join my advanced team, there is information about that in my newsletter, which you can sign up for on my website. Anyway, I will then send to the advanced team, and at that point, after I get feedback and make changes, I will feel that I have a pretty much solid manuscript ready for publication. Now, I don't know the timeline on all of this. I'm telling you all this now, but first of all, right now it's just going to get put aside for a little while, and I don't know when I'll get all my corrections done. I'm thinking I'm not even going to send to an editor until I actually finish the next 2 books. For one thing, it would be nice to be able to send the editor the whole series, so be able to hire someone who would be available to do all 3 books. I realize that they might not do them all at once, but just so I know that I have the same person editing all 3. And for my sake, in case as I'm working on the next 2 books and then I decide, that I really want to change something in the first book so that, it goes with the next books, I will have that option. So that's why I'm thinking I'm not going to go at least to, I might get my editing and revisions done, but I'm probably not going to send it off to anyone until I have the next 2 books done. That's my thinking. Anyway, this is the first time I've done a series, so it's a little different for me, and I'm figuring it out as I go along, which is kind of how things go. So in the meantime, I have been working on drafting the second book in the series. It's coming along. It is. I began it, then felt like I was getting stuck with stuff, and actually set that aside for a little bit, then went back to it and with a fresh perspective. And I feel like I know what I'm doing, and now I feel like things are coming together. So what I'm actually doing is, once again, we have kind of 3 storylines, although the 2 are pretty connected, I guess. They're separate. It's like going to be 3 separate storylines. And so, 3 separate characters. So I want to first just kind of quickly jot out what each character's storyline is, like this happens, like what the scenes are going to be, and then do a more detailed outline of each of those scenes, and then figure out like the order, like how things all fit together, because it's not going to be this person, it's going to be this person, then this person, it's going to, they will all fit together. It isn't like, I'm going to tell one person's story and then the next person's story. I'm going to, piece them together, if that makes any sense at all. It's like sewing a quilt, guys. So what I'm saying, I guess, is that I still have a long ways to go on that outline, and that's the outline for the second book. And I also want to outline the third book, which I don't know. I might do that before I begin work on the second book, or I might kind of do it concurrently with writing the second book. We'll see. The only reason that I would like to do it before I start writing is because I'm thinking that, again, like I was saying, there's something I might want to go back and change, and wouldn't it be easier to have that all set in the outline before I dive into writing? It definitely would. I don't know if I will do that. I might just want to dive into actually writing at some point, because that's what I like outlining and all, but at some point you're like, okay, I can't wait to get started on this. And, like I said, it's a long process to outline, so I'm already getting itchy to start work on the writing, even though I haven't actually got everything figured out yet. So anyway, that's what's going on there. I had to laugh because Paul Teague mentioned me this week in his podcast. I was listening to it yesterday while I was working on some day job stuff, and he happened to mention, like, he was talking about actually this, podcast / vlog, and as many of you know, I sell stuff on Amazon. I sell physical products on Amazon. That's my day job, I guess you would call it, day business. And Paul said something like, well, I have that figured out and I'm doing really well with that. And so, you know, I'm just kind of gone to the next step of, you know, doing books, and I can transfer like what I've learned from selling physical products to books. And I wish that were true. I really, first of all, I don't feel like I have everything figured out on, you know, selling the physical products. I mean, yes, that's what I do and have done for a few years now as my full-time income, full-time business, whatever you want to call it. But it's a constantly changing field. I mean, I guess anytime you're selling stuff or doing anything on the internet, I mean, stuff is always changing, as you know. It's like you get used to, you know, your email service provider, you know, the way things are with it, and then they do an update and it's like, well, I don't like this. You know how you have to like constantly adjust to change. You see it all the time on like social media when Facebook makes a change or Twitter makes a change and everyone, you know, loses their mind over it, type of thing. Well, that happens, you know, in other areas too. It happens definitely all the time with Amazon, and sometimes, you know, some of the changes that come down the pipeline are like, you know, it's tough to deal with them. I'll give you some examples. I mean, one thing is that sometimes they tell you what you can and can't sell, and they'll, you know, when I was starting out, or not even that long ago, I guess you know, one of the main things I sold was DVDs, and I did really well with the DVDs, and I can still sell DVDs on Amazon, but they've made more and more restrictions on what DVDs I can sell. So like, I'm restricted from selling certain like new, you know, popular ones, and I'm restricted from selling any that have a retail price over, is it $24.99, $25.99, something like that. So I mean, that, you know, it was a huge impact on me. There was like, you know, that was like a main part of my business, and I was like, oh, I can't do that anymore. And that's just maybe one little aspect of it, but there's always things like that going on, and so you always have to do these, I guess, course corrections, I would say. And right now, like this year, what I have been experiencing, and I know that other sellers have as well, is that sales are down on Amazon for us, and we don't entirely know the reason. I have some theories about this, I do, but it's a little bit frightening because, you know, for me, I rely on this as a full-time income, and I can see like, whoa, sales are like down a lot from last year. I use some different software, and including the Amazon seller software, so I can easily see like a comparison of this year to last year. And there have been, you know, changes to my business because of things that have happened, but not so much that it should have this big of an impact on it. So I'm a little bit, I'm very concerned, and I'm not entirely sure what the reason is, but I do think, you know, that part of the reason is actually something that does affect authors and affects anyone selling anything on Amazon, is that searching for products on Amazon has actually become more difficult lately. And I don't know if you notice this as a shopper on Amazon, or, you know, as someone who's selling, you know, products as well, but they've, you know, increased the amount of, you know, sponsored listings, I believe. And they've done some things that have tweaked the search, you know, in some way. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but it has definitely led to changes for people selling things on Amazon. And so I'll tell you right now, I sell physical products. I'm a reseller of physical products. I sell my books on Amazon. I also have print-on-demand t-shirts that I sell on Amazon. And here's what I can tell you. Sales are down across the board for everything. All of those things. Some of them way down for the t-shirts, and for the physical products I sell, they're way down from what they were like a year ago. And the physical products, I would expect them to be just a little bit down from last year because of, you know, just the stuff that I'm sending in at the moment, just because of the way things are. But the t-shirts shouldn't be down at all. Like there's no reason for them to be, and they're down like a lot, like 75% from last year. So that's a really significant change. And uh, you know, I'm not going to get into the details of my business and all that and bore you with all that, but it's just an interesting thing. It was just funny that Paul happened to mention it on a week when like I was like, you know, pretty much like scratching my head, like, what am I going to do and how am I going to figure this out and that sort of thing. So in a week where I felt like very much not an expert, he was identifying me as an expert, and so interesting to see how people perceive things. But yeah, so I'm still trying to, you know, figure out how to overcome these difficulties, and you know, I don't know if I totally have an answer. Now, for all I know, you know, Amazon isn't obviously going to reveal this to me or to anyone, but you know, perhaps sales are down overall on the site, and any day they could just, you know, flip a switch and go back to their old search algorithm, or, you know, upload a new search algorithm and everything will go back to the way it was, or will be an improvement over how it was, or who even knows, or it'll get worse. We don't really know. But I guess that's something that, you know, when you're selling stuff on the internet, be it physical products, be it, you know, digital or print books, be it, you know, print on demand items, when you're playing in someone else's sandbox, you know, you're at their mercy, basically. They can tell you at any point they could disable your account. They can, you know, make some change that will change your whole business. They can do whatever they want, and you kind of have to roll with the punches. And, you know, I'm not complaining about Amazon because I've made a lot of money thanks to Amazon. And so, you know, I'm very grateful for them. And as you know from me doing my author income reports, even though most of my books are wide, I make almost all my money on Amazon selling books. So, you know, that for that reason, it's actually all the more scary when things are like down on Amazon, because it's like, well, they make up the bulk of my income. So, you know, it's a little scary. So that's why it is scary when, you know, stuff is down on Amazon and, you know, things are not quite the way they were and you don't know what's going on. But yeah, the only other option would be to simply sell everything yourself. And I mean, I know from experience and just common sense that that's not going to generate anywhere near the kind of income that I can get by taking advantage of the huge number of people that shop on Amazon and, you know, stumble upon in one way or another something that I'm selling. So, you know, I could, you know, I see people bitching and moaning all the time about, well, Amazon this, Amazon that, and I kind of am in this video, but it's also like, wow, you know, it's such a wonderful thing and it gives you this opportunity. So anyway, those are just my thoughts on, you know, the crazy world that we live in. It gives us, you know, the ability to, you know, make money as an independent author, which obviously, you know, people have been self-publishing books for a long, long time, you know, and go back to Walt Whitman or Charles Dickens or someone like that who, you know, self-published books. But, you know, that costs a lot of money to do that, and, you know, there's no guarantee of success, and it's a lot of work. So yes, that was always an option for us, but you know, the advent of ebooks and the advent of like these digital marketplaces, especially Amazon, they really, you know, set the standard for online shopping. So, you know, and being able to just sell your stuff on the biggest, you know, or one of the biggest shopping destinations on the internet. I guess Alibaba has them beat, but you know what I mean? It's really an awesome thing for authors, and so, or for anyone really, because, you know, or designers who are selling t-shirts, or, you know, people like me selling random physical products on the internet. I mean, it's I wouldn't be able to do what I do without Amazon, and this isn't like a sales pitch for Amazon, even though before I was kind of complaining, but it gives us tremendous opportunities, but also it does put us at their mercy, and, you know, we have to be willing to adapt, and I think it's like a constant learning experience. At least that has been my experience with doing any of these things. So those are just my thoughts on selling, especially selling anything on Amazon or anywhere else online when you're selling in another storefront that you don't actually control. It's a tremendous opportunity, but it does open us up to possible problems, I guess. And so we have to be willing to constantly adapt and constantly learn. And I don't think, any opportunity is going to go away. It just means we might have to change what we're doing. I might have to change the way I'm doing physical products. It might mean I need to change the way I'm doing books or, my t-shirts or anything like that. So we'll see. But in the meantime, I am going to sign off. I will be back next week. I will have an author income report for you. I do promise I'll get that all together. Maybe I'll be done with my taxes by the time I talk to you next week, but I don't know about that. Looking at the mounds of stuff I have to deal with, but we'll see. So I hopefully will be, I don't know that I will be done with working on my outline either, but I hopefully will be further along with it. I better be. Anyway, I will catch up with you all again in another week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please feel free to, like, thumbs up, subscribe, that sort of thing. If you want to know more about me, please check out my website, which is alysagrosso.com, ALISSAGROSSO.com. And I hope you all have a great week. I'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone.